Charlie, how are
Morning,
you? All right?
Lee. How are you
How are you?
doing?
I'm good. How you doing? All right.
I'm very well. Morning, Alan. How are you doing?
Hello there. I'm recovering.
You're recovering. That's good. You've got a smile on your face this week, so I'm happy.
Congratulations on your modeling career, by the way. It's well done.
God, it's going to be a one and done career, I suspect, Niche. It's not something I'm comfortable with, so it's not really something that I want to take up or anytime soon. But for a
You're a
good cause,
natural
why not?
beauty. You're a natural beauty and a masterpiece, all right? So don't worry about it. Everything will
Oh,
be
thank you.
fine.
Hello, Edie. Lovely that you can join us. Hope you're doing well, my lovely. Okay, so I'm going to let the room run for a couple of more minutes, see who else is joining us. In the meantime, as you probably all know, just go into the chat and let me know what you'd like to gain from today's session. So today we're talking about how to use a book strategically to get referrals. I think most of us are aware referrals are some of the best leads in our business that we can ever get because they're coming from somebody else. So first of all, you don't have to work for them, which is wonderful. But the other thing is that I tend to find when people have recommended me, that person tends to become a client much more easily for me because they trust the other person, they trust the person who's recommended me. So if you think about it, if all business owners concentrate on getting lots of referrals, they wouldn't have to spend so much time on doing lead generation themselves, which is when I speak to most business owners throughout sectors, by the way, they say that's one of the biggest bugbears they have, that they have to generate leads and do all of that stuff. So to actually have people in your network recommend you to others is amazing. So put into the chat what you'd like to gain from today's session. Hopefully we'll cover it. Well, I may be able to cover it in the presentation, but of course the fun part about the forum is I open it up and then we have a discussion together. So therefore, if we don't cover it in the presentation, I'll make sure it's covered then. So Edie says, writing a book on autism is not an easy sector. So that, oh yes, I know Karen very, very well. Excellent, excellent. Okay, we've just got a few more people coming into. Okay, so oh no, someone's gonna admit. There we go. So we've got a few more people coming in there. But yes, if you can just put in what you'd like to gain for this. Hello, Shasta.
Hi. Sorry, I didn't
Hello, welcome to the
my camera.
forum. We're
Yeah.
going to get started in about a minute. So all I'm asking everybody is just go into the chat and put in what you'd like to gain from today's session. So I'm aware how to structure it. Hello, Alison. I hope you're doing well, my lovely. Hello. Yes, just go into the chat and put in what you'd like to gain from today's session. That helps me structure it because I do like the forum being quite organic. Even though there is a set structure regarding what I cover from one week to the next, I don't really just want to be like, it's hey, me presenting. I much rather just do a little bit of a presentation and then open it up to the audience, say, what questions do you have? And you can even help each other and give each other feedback and thoughts. So yes, do go into the chat and let me know what you'd like to gain from today's session. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's get started. So where that's okay, Alison. That's absolutely fine, Alison. Don't worry. Okay, so let me just get started. So where's my share button? There it is. Okay, so can you see these slides? Yes, if I just get a thumbs up, or just I just want to make sure that I'm not just talking to myself and you're thinking, what is she talking about? So I want to make sure that you're seeing the slides. Okay, that's great. So let's start this. Okay, so first of all, welcome to Thought Leader Author Forum. Most of you have been here before, one or two new people, so welcome to the forum. The forum happens in two parts. Okay, so the first part, we talk about the topic of today. So today we're talking about how authors use their books to increase referral business. And there's 6 specific steps, okay? It's something that I've done. Actually, I'll be the first one to admit, I don't always take my own advice. You might be guilty of that yourself. I'm so busy focusing on my authors that sometimes my own book suffers. I've been trying to write the third edition of my book. That was meant to be out in September. It's now coming towards the end of October. That still isn't out. It's probably now going to be the new year before it goes out. I have a second book in the works. Was meant to come out this year. That's probably going to be 2025. So don't really always listen to me, but however, do look at my authors, because most of my energy, I would say about 95% of my energy goes on my authors, and they're doing incredible things with their books. And they've been able to get so much referral business just from the books. I have several clients now who don't really do any lead generation anymore. They just don't need to. Other people are generating leads for them. So they just sit back and go, okay, don't have to do anything anymore. Wouldn't that be a great place to be in, where people are just generating leads for you? So that's what I'm going to talk about in part one. And then part two, my favorite bit of the forum, that's when I open it up to you guys. Get involved. That's the best advice I can give you. You get the most out of this forum by getting involved, asking questions, giving your opinion as well. Some of you are authors already. I'd love to know, have you used some of these steps? What was the outcome from some of these steps? Or did you do something entirely different that I don't talk about? Trust me, I know a lot about books, but no one on this planet can say they know everything there is to know about a particular subject. There's so much I still don't know about books. So if you've had a tactic that really worked like gangbusters for you, share it with the rest of us, because you're teaching me then, because it might be something that I don't know as well. Okay. And also just to thank you for coming to today's forum. You will get this workbook sent out to you tomorrow. My awesome assistant should be in the audience, Joycey. She usually sends it out mid-morning to early afternoon UK time, so it'll be very early in the morning if you're based in the US. She will send this out. So that means that feel free to take notes. Some people just like taking notes for the sake of taking notes. That's just how their brain works. So feel free to take notes, but you don't have to. You can just sit back, relax, have your cup of tea or whatever it is, and just listen and just take in the information, knowing that you're going to get this workbook that goes through everything I talk about and a lot more that I won't be able to cover. You will get this tomorrow. Okay, so then something different today. So I have an ask for you. So Nisha alluded to it right at the beginning. So I am doing something very, very out of my comfort zone tomorrow. I've got a funny feeling I'm not going to sleep tonight because I'm going to be panicking. I've been asked to model at a charity fashion ball. I've never walked a catwalk. I'm dyspraxic, by the way. It's a minor miracle that I'm on a treadmill and speaking to you. Dyspraxia, for those who don't know, it's a neurodivergency, which means I have very limited spatial awareness. So as you can imagine, walking on a catwalk is not something that I ever really thought I would do. But this is an amazing charity that contacted me. And what they do is they help women into employment, women who have fallen out of education, maybe have even been homeless or gone through some other issues, and they don't have the confidence really, or the clothes. Sometimes they don't even have the clothes to feel like they can apply for jobs because they don't have what it takes to go to interviews. This amazing charity based in the northeast of England, where I'm based, what they do is they coach these women to become aces at interviews, and they give them interview worthy clothes so they can get on that first rung in their career and just leave homelessness or abuse or anything else behind. So I think it's a fantastic, amazing charity. I was, as some of you may be aware, for a small amount of time when I was 19 years old, I was homeless myself. I ended up in a homeless shelter. And I remember the knock-on effect of that for about 2 or 3 years was I only applied for, I don't want to say only, but I applied for things like cleaning jobs and factory jobs because I never felt good enough to be able to apply for an office job or a proper job, as I used to call it. And
Can you send us the link so we can watch you doing the catwalk, please? Because you look very smart on the cover of
thank
this.
you. That's good lighting and makeup, Shasta. But thank you so much for thinking
No.
that.
Whatever works, darling. Whatever works, it's fine.
Thank you so much. Yes, it's a big event happening in Newcastle upon Tyne in England. So I assume that the organisers will be filming it, and I'll do my best, Chaser, to see if we can find some recording of me trying to walk down a catwalk.
No,
But if
you'll
I
be
can-
great. You'll be great. See how apologetic you are already. Don't be that.
I
You
shouldn't.
know,
I know I shouldn't.
come
But
on,
if I
let's.
can ask you all, Nish, you've already donated, but if you can, no pressure, by the way, but
Yeah.
if you can, however small, if you can donate to this cause, let me put this link into the chat now. So here it is. So I'm going to put this in the chat. So don't feel under any pressure to do so. But if you can donate anything, even if it's just £10 or even £5 or even £1, or even if you're in the States, even just $5 or whatever you can. As you can see, this morning, I actually hit my target of £300. So I'm over the moon. But obviously anything extra, every penny does, by the way, go to this amazing charity to help women out of poverty and get onto that first rung of their career ladder. So anything that you can spare, very, very gratefully appreciated. Nish, you've already donated, so thank you so much, my friend. I really, really appreciate it. But I would appreciate any help that you can give me. And yes, Shasta and everybody else, I'll get them to film me. I'm sure they will be filming me. I probably won't watch it because I don't want to watch myself going down a runway, but I will post it to you guys so you can see it, okay? But thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for helping me raise money at a very short notice. I only found out a week ago this charity existed, and I thought, why didn't you guys contact me 2 months ago? I could have done proper fundraising, but I had a week just to raise as much funds as possible. So thank you so much for everyone who does that. Okay, so let's get started. So as some of you will know who's been with me for a while now, I always like polling my audience just to see what's, what they're thinking. So I asked them this week, do you know how to use a book to build your business network and gain qualified referrals? Now, this is quite interesting. 65% said yes. The last time I ran this poll, which was back in February, I think this year, it was more 45% said yes and 55% said no. Now we've got 65%. So I wonder if it's more my audience getting more educated with me in the mix and they're learning from me. But what's quite interesting is some of the comments that were left. So we've got Angela, and Angela's saying it's not just about having the book, it's about strategically using it as a door opener, which is true. Daryl says leveraging a book to gain referrals involves sharing valuable insights, establishing expertise, and using it as a tool to build relationships and trust with potential clients and partners. All very true. Where the issue here is, I think what Daryl and Angela are talking about is very, very true. But exactly how do you do it? And that seems to be what the biggest issue seems to be when people come to me is, yeah, I've heard all this before, but no one's telling me what exactly do I do? How do I strategically use it as a door opener? Give me exact things that I need to do with my book. And no one seems to be talking about that. And that's what today is all about. I'm not going to be talking about high level strategic stuff. Chances are you already know that. You're very aware a book can open doors for you. But what you really want to know is exactly what do I have to do? And that's what I'm going to talk about today. Alex, bless him, was the only one who commented with something that was very, very practical that people can take away. So he said another practical way to use a book for referrals is by gifting it to key contacts or potential clients. It not only leaves a lasting impression, but also serves as a reminder of your expertise. And when I saw that, I was like, Alex, I love you. Because every one of these people are correct, by the way. No one's incorrect. But nearly all the comments, apart from Alex, was, yes, you can use it strategically. Yes, you can, get referrals. It's like, yes, but from an outsider's point of view, they're thinking, great, these are all nice words, but how do I do it? Tell me, how do I do it? No one's telling me how to do it. So hopefully by the end of today's forum, you should have a step-by-step plan of how you can strategically get your book to open doors for you and get more referrals. Okay. So I've put together, this is something, some of you have been following me for a while now. You'll know that I'm a big fan of infographics. I'm a big fan of acronyms or any mnemonics that helps me remember stuff, because I'm not very good at remembering stuff. My brain is like a sieve. So I create these mnemonics to help me. And what's been wonderful over the last decade or so is realizing there's more people like me than unlike me. Most people don't seem to remember much. So they actually appreciate me creating these mnemonics. So I created something called a referral revenue engine, because that's what I've been able to witness some of my clients do. They put this into plan and they actually get it going to the point that 1 or 2 years in, it's an engine that just keeps going. And now I have several of my clients who just sit back and just get referrals and they don't really do anything anymore. And that's the thing about creating an engine. Once you get that momentum, you can't stop it. It just carries on. A bit like a snowball going down a hill. You just can't stop it. So let's go through. As you can see, if we go all the way from the top and go around in a clockwise fashion, I'll go through what each of these F's mean. And that way you can remember these F's. Like I said, you will get this workbook tomorrow. So don't think like, oh my God, I have to memorize these F's now. But the whole point of having 6 F's is that way it's easier for you to remember. So the first one is, the first F, I should say, is free. Free book giveaway. This is really, really important. Now, you need to separate in your head. Think in your head, there's 2 book industries. That's the best way to think of it. That's how my brain thinks of it. If when you just think of one book industry, that's when people get confused. I've met so many authors who've written a book demonstrating their expertise, demonstrating their thought leadership, and then they're selling their book. They're making people pay £10, £15 for a paperback copy. That's fine in some circumstances, but especially when it comes to trying to get referrals and getting into certain people's networks, you don't want to make these people buy your book. That's a very different world. So think in your head 2 different book industries. If you're writing fiction, if you're writing, for example, autobiography, perhaps you're a famous person or someone of note that people will be interested in your life, perhaps you're writing a children's book, you're in what I call the traditional book industry. In that industry, your book is your moneymaker. That's your product. So of course you shouldn't be giving away for free. That's crazy. Why would you give away your thing that makes you money, your moneymaker? Why would you give that away for free? So that is a very different industry. However, if you're in my industry, which is you're writing a book for thought leadership, you're writing a book that demonstrates you are the expert in a particular field or subject matter, then you're in a very different industry in that your career isn't author. Put it this way, when you're filling out your passport form and it says occupation, you're not putting in author. You're putting in coach, designer, consultant, accountant, business owner maybe, but you don't put author as your occupation. If that's you, then you're in the second industry. Now, in that industry, things work very differently. Your book isn't your moneymaker. Instead, your programs, your services, your products, physical or otherwise, they are your moneymaker. Now your book becomes a very clever marketing tool. And just like you wouldn't expect someone to pay to have your catalog, for example, if you're selling products there you put into a catalog, you wouldn't get someone to pay to land on your website to learn more about you and possibly buy something from you. You wouldn't get somebody to pay to just read a blog post. You have to think of it differently. It's no longer the money maker, it is the marketing tool. And the reason why a lot of my clients have had such success with their book opening doors for them is they're not even looking at making money from their books. Most of the times, they're giving their books away for free. So keep that in mind. If you're trying to make a ton of money from your books, that's fine if you've written fiction or a children's book or where the book is. If you class yourself as an author, as in that is my career, that is what you fill in the forms when it says occupation, you put in author. That's fair enough. But if you're not putting in author, then you're in the second industry. Then you should not be thinking about just making as much money from your books as possible. I generally just look at breaking even every year on my book. That's all I do. If I make a little bit of a profit, I give myself a little bit of a pat on the back. It's like, oh, I made a bit of profit this year. And I send it off to an animal charity that I've always said from as soon as my book came out, I said any profits I make on the book goes to a specific animal charity based in the northeast of England and they get the money. That's it. But I never even think about making money from the book. So that's the first F, free. You need to think in terms of your book as a marketing tool that you give away for free. Step 2, the second F, is forward free copies to your client's network. This is something I learned from one of my clients. So what I was doing naively was like, I make sure that, people that I know, my clients, I send them a copy of my book. By the way, if Stanley's probably thinking, hang on a minute, I'm a client. Why have I not received a copy of your book yet? That's because the third version is still underway, Stanley. I didn't want to give you the old version, so don't worry. As soon as the third version is up, I will do a copy with my compliments. But I always send all my clients a copy of my book. I thought that was ninja. It wasn't, apparently. Then my client said, no, don't do that, because you can send a copy to your clients, or maybe even several copies to your client, but then they have to remember to give your book to other people that they know. So instead, what they do is they actually, what this client of mine does is she actually says, well, who do you know in your network who could use my services? She's a coach, by the way. She's a business coach. And then they say, okay, I know a few people. Okay, well, tell you what, why don't you give me their names and addresses, and I'll send a copy of my book for you. And I'll put a note saying that I was speaking to you and you suggested it. So it's really a gift from you. And I was just like, oh my God, that's genius. By the way, Shaysta, I can just see you've got your hands up. If we can leave questions till the end of the presentation, is that okay, my love? Because then I open it up and we can actually talk more. So is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Thanks.
Thank you so much. So, and I just thought, oh my God, that's genius, because all I was doing was sending copies of my book to my clients and hoping that when they think about somebody who could need my services, they'll send a copy of my book along to that person. She was cutting that out. She was like, yeah, but people forget. They get busy. They just have things to do in their lives and they forget. Why don't you just go straight to and ask them, well, who do you know who could use my services? Or who do you know they could use my products? Or who do you know that needs to meet someone like me? Whatever it is that you're doing. And then you say, well, if you give me their details, I'll send a copy of my book and I'll put a note in saying it's from you. That's just, and then usually most people are so happy because it's like they don't have to do anything, and also they now get a bit of kudos because they've recommended you to somebody and they're getting a free book and it's on them and they've had to do nothing. It's cost them nothing. It's cost them no time and it's cost them no money, which is like the perfect thing, really, isn't it? They get all the credit and they haven't had to spend any time, any energy, or any money on it. And I just remember thinking, that is a ninja tactic. So use that. That's a really, really good piece of advice I've started to now do. The third F, or step 3, is focus on well-connected clients. So this is really important. This is something that I learned too late in my business life. The old 80-20 rule. It's so true. 80% of your success is concentrated on just 20% of what you do in your business, or in other words, just 20% of the people that you associate with. Yeah, so think of all the effort you put in trying to generate leads, trying to generate clients, generate, strategic partners. 20% of all these groups of people, 20% are doing 80% of the work for you. So you need to spend some time really focusing on who are the people who you really resonate with, who just seem to be always talking about you. And maybe they have their own networks. Maybe they have a big networking group. Maybe they hold networking events. Maybe they hold big in-person conferences and you're good friends with them. Whoever these people are, focus on them and give them several copies of your book. So you don't just give them 1, 2, or 3. Make sure they have several copies of your book. Those people are your biggest fans. They're already, even without a book, they're already talking to other people about you. I have 7 people like that in my life. They seem to, wherever they go, they seem to be talking about me. It just makes sense for me to make sure they always have several books to hand. So and whenever they run down, I'll call them and I say, hey, have you got any more of my books left? And they say, oh, I've got a couple left now. I've given away quite a few. I guess what I do? I send them another 5 or 10 copies. I make sure they're always topped up, because those people are my biggest fans. They're always talking about me, saying, hey, if you're writing a book for thought leadership and for personal branding, you need to speak to Mitali. They're doing it anyway without even me pushing them. Why wouldn't I make the process even easier and nicer for them, where they can actually give away a valuable book? Again, think about it. It doesn't cost them any money, and yet they're getting all the credit because they're giving the gift, but it's not costing them anything. So really focus on, you will have a handful of people who are your big fans. They really believe in what you do, and they seem to just can't, it's almost like they've got, you know, Tourette's, except it's your name and what you do. And they just can't help but talking about you all the time. Find those people and make sure you get your book into their hands, several copies, and keep topping them up and say, hey, I'm going to send you copies of my book because you're talking about me all the time anyway, which I really appreciate it. Tell you what, I'm going to send you copies of my book so you can actually give the gift of knowledge to people, so they're going to love you even more than they already do, and it's going to cost you nothing. And let me know when you run out, I'll just send some more. That has worked really, really well for me. So I always make sure my well-connected clients, they are always topped up with books. Okay. Strategic partners, step 4, or the 4th F, is feature well-connected strategic partners. These are people that may not be a client. So the 3rd step was focus on the people who have actually experienced you. So whatever it is, whether it's a service, whether it's coaching or consulting, whether it's products, whether it's programs, whatever it is that you do, they've experienced you. Step 4, this is one that I used to be quite shy about, because I always used to think once someone's worked with me, they'll realize how wonderful I am, and then they'll want to tell the whole world about me. But I used to be very, very shy about approaching people who hadn't worked with me and getting them to refer me, because I always used to think, well, how can someone refer me if they've never worked with me? People can. People are very good. Most people are quite good judges of character when it comes to this, especially business owners. I think as business owners, we have to become good judge of characters, because, you know, we live in a world where everyone's wanting to take our money. Hey, I can do this for you. Hey, I can do that for you. So we end up having to judge people and figure out who we trust and who we think, I'm not going to spend any money with you. So business owners especially, they are a very good judge of character. They don't have to have worked with you to refer you. And I've found a wealth of people who have networks, who do conferences. I know people who do in-person conferences, who either they've already written a book themselves before they met me, so they don't need me anymore, or they're not really interested in writing a book. However, they are actively referring me. And that's because I connected with them. We spoke, we became friends, and they realized that, okay, this woman really does know what she's talking about. Those people as well, I make sure they always have several copies of my book to hand. And again, when they run out, I send them more books. Now, by the way, this is an extra thing. If you're wondering, oh gosh, that's sending books out, that's going to be quite expensive. This is one of the biggest things I always tell all my clients is, do not have color books. This is not for you, Nisha. I know you're writing a children's book, so that has to be color. I can't imagine any child wanting a black and white book. So yeah, that's by and by. But these kinds of books I'm talking about, books for personal branding, thought leadership, that sort of thing, even this, so this is in color. The only reason it's in color here is because it's on a slide. All of my infographics feature in my own book, The Freedom Master Plan. But guess what? I made sure my designer, when he was designing them, to make sure the colors also work on a grayscale. They work black and white, because I did not want these color images to be inside my book. As soon as you put color into your book, the cost of your book doubles, more than doubles. Amazon charged me, I think it's less than £6 to print and send out a book, which I think is very economical. If it had color pages in there, even just a few color pages, it'd be over £10. And that's when it becomes prohibitive. The cost becomes prohibitive. So this is why I'm a big advocate for black and white books. You're writing for adults. They shouldn't really need color. And you just want to make sure that any images or graphs that you use work on a grayscale. Okay, that's all you have to do, is make sure, does it work on grayscale, or does it go fuzzy, and does it not work? And if it doesn't work, you need to either, if you can do it yourself, or speak to a designer to rework it so it does work in a black and white way. Okay, but yeah, you want to make sure your book is as cost effective to produce and send out, because that's what it takes. Remember the very first F? Free. It's not about making money from your book. Okay, it's about using your book as a marketing tool. So that's how you make money. step 5, or the 5th F, is flatter, well-connected service providers. Again, something that completely flew over my head until I had some incredible clients say, hey, you're missing something here. My clients teach me. That's a wonderful thing. I teach them about books, and they've taught me about marketing. So it's been a symbiotic relationship, which has been fantastic. But they've taught me how to really, wring out as much as you can from a book. And one of the key ways that I was missing was service providers. So if you have a business, you will have very likely service providers within your supply chain. So for me, for example, I work with a team of editors, designers, typesetters, formatters, all these incredible people that you need to create a professional level book. I never even thought of featuring them, because it's just, so why would I feature? My book is all about how to leverage your book as a business owner to build a huge business. I've been walking for over 2 hours. My treadmill has stopped. Let me start it up again. Nisha's laughing. Yeah, I've been walking for 2 hours already. Can you believe? And it's only just gone into the afternoon. Let me start it again. There we go. So where was I? Yes. So I never even thought of, actually, why would I feature those people? Why would I feature Edison? That's got nothing to do with my book. But then a few of my clients said, no, you're missing a trick here, because your editors probably could. And I found that they could, because I found one of my editors, she was actually recommending me to people who want to write another book. I thought, well, why would I feature my editors? Why would I have my editors, talk to people about my book? Because editors receive manuscripts once they're already done. So then someone's already written a book, so they don't need me. They've already written a book, and I hand it to one of my editors. My editors, by the way, are freelancers. So they get roughly about 60% of the work comes from me, but they do work independently with other people as well. So they are getting manuscripts that are not from me and not from my clients. So I just thought, well, they're not going to be able to generate business for me. How wrong was I? It seemed that one of my editors, what she was doing was she was speaking to these people who were independently sending a manuscript, and some of them were terrible, and she was just saying, look, this manuscript is all over the place. The structure isn't right. You've obviously done the best you can, but you need to actually work with a consultant. Guess what? I actually have somebody who sends me manuscripts. She's called Mitali. Let me send you her details. You need to speak to her to help you with this book. Other times the book has been great, but then maybe that client has actually said to that editor, that's taken me 3 years to write this book. It's been so difficult, but I'm so glad it's done now, and I've handed it over to you. And then she said, are you planning on writing any more books? Well, yes, but it's taken me so long to do the first one. I don't really want to do another one and take that long. It's like, I've got the perfect lady for you. She can get you to write a book within a matter of weeks if needs be, definitely within a couple of months. And it will be nowhere near as much hassle as the first one. And she sent them over to me. And I just thought, oh my God, I had no idea that there was people providing services for me that could be promoting me. So now guess what? All my editors and designers, they all have my books. They'll have several copies of my books, so they can actually promote me. So think about your service providers that you've got. So for example, let me think of an example off the top of my head. Say you're a business coach and you specifically work with startups. So you help business owners start their business. Well, for example, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, maybe you've had a website done and you had a fantastic experience with that web designer. Couldn't you speak to that web designer and say, hey, as a web designer, I bet a certain number of your clients are startup businesses who could probably do with some coaching. And if they say, well, yeah, actually, I do work with a lot of startup businesses. That's one of the key reasons people want a website is, hey, I've started a new business. Okay, let me send you several copies of my book. And if you've got a startup business, give them a gift from you, so that you get credit for it. They think you're amazing because you've given them this free, amazing resource. And yet I'll now stay at the top of their mind if they need any coaching. So think outside the box. Think of services that you've used in your business, whether it's a continuous thing or there is a one-off thing, and contact those people and see what kind of people they come across. And if that sounds like your target market, these are the people you want to get on side, and you want to make sure they have copies of your book so they are actively referring you. Final F of step 6 is for franchise. Now, this is next level, okay? So it's next level franchise. This is something that I've started to do a little bit in my book, but hopefully in the third version, I'm going to go for it. Franchising your book is where you take elements of these, but you actually focus, you put them into your book. So for example, you could talk about, maybe you've got some great stories about your clients doing amazing things. Put them in your book. Get their permission, by the way. Of course, you need to get permission. But as long as you get permission from them, they should be okay. Especially if you're working with entrepreneurs and business owners, you're writing nice things about them. It's free publicity for them, so they're going to love it. If you're working with people who work within big corporations, that might be a little bit more sticky, because it could be they want to be featured, but their corporation, the people they work with, say, no, you're not allowed to use our name in a book, etc., etc. So you have to work that out. So make sure you do get permission. Don't get yourself into trouble. Please don't do that. But if you can, feature them. Guess what? As soon as you feature somebody in a book, they're now more inclined to promote the book and talk to other people. Because a little bit of ego is involved. Come on, I mean, we all have a little bit of ego. Let's be honest. We all have a tiny bit of ego, and it feels quite good if you're featured somewhere. You're gonna promote it more because you're featured in there. Same with strategic partners. If you got some great strategic partners doing incredible things, you've got some stories for them, feature them. They're now more inclined to get your book out there, talk to as many people as possible, because guess what? They're featured in it in a wonderful light. Any service providers. So basically step 6, or the final F, is you can use that in conjunction with all the other Fs. So find ways. Now a caveat here. Let me give you a caveat here. Don't shovel people in. Okay? Then it actually devalues your book. I've seen some books where they've even sold advertising space inside their book. And I just thought, it now doesn't even look like a professional book. It now looks like some kind of black and white magazine. So when I say franchise your book, don't go crazy with it. Remember, it still needs to look like a book, so don't make it look like a magazine. And the people that you feature, the stories you feature, need to fit in with what you're teaching. Don't just shove things in there, because that will have the opposite effect. Now your book becomes devalued. People are not going to take you seriously. So please don't do that. But when you're using it sparingly, and like I said, you're using it strategically, so you're talking about something in your book, and it's something that your strategic partner has done in the past, why would you not feature them? Remember, people are terrible at remembering facts and figures. They're very good at remembering stories. So if you've got stories of clients, if you've got stories of strategic partners that you have, if you've got stories of some of your service providers, and they're all positive, of course, why would you not feature them? Just don't shovel people in for the sake of it. That's the worst thing that you can do. Okay. So let me give you an example of someone who's really used the referral revenue engine and just taken it to the next level. So this awesome lady, she's based in Vancouver, Sandra Namoto. She wrote a fantastic book, published a couple of years ago, called Vegan Marketing Success Stories. And she's gone beyond the engine. I need to add another F in there, because she took this. And then this is what I mean about my clients teaching me. They're so good at this that they come back and tell me what they've done. It's like, oh my God, I didn't even know that was even possible. She's taken this and took it to another level. What she did was I think she contacted over 100 plant-based businesses around the world and said, hey, I'd like to interview you on your marketing success stories. She basically contacted over 100 plant-based businesses around the world, and they were doing really well and doing really interesting marketing, out of the box kind of marketing. And she said, hey, I just want to get on a half-an-hour Zoom with you and just ask you some questions about your marketing, how amazing it was. I'm writing this fantastic book. I'd like to feature you in it. I think over 50 of them said yes, because why wouldn't you? Again, free publicity, ego. So it's like, oh my God, free publicity, and someone's saying something nice about me. Yes, I'll get involved with that. So she interviewed these people. And what this has done is now these people are involved in the book. They promoted to everywhere. Again, the ego was there. It was like, I'm featured in this book. So they wanted loads of other people to find about this book. They started to give the book out to everyone. She did so well, she ended up on nationwide TV in Canada. So there she is in January. And as you can see, she's on nationwide TV throughout the entire Canadian country. and she was on there because her book had done so well. That's the power of this. This is the power of this. This is what she used. She used a book strategically to gain so much momentum that she ends up nationwide TV. And now she's a paid speaker. Okay. So a lot of us speak for, you know, increase our profile and that sort of thing. Sandra has been able to get such momentum. She now charges to speak. So it does raise her profile, by the way, but she actually gets paid for it as well. So it's a double whammy. She's getting, her profile is being risen. You know, people now know who she is. They want to engage with her, and she gets paid for being on stage. So that's what actually can happen when you use the referral revenue engine. Now, just a little thing, don't feel like you have to implement everything. Don't go crazy. Don't make yourself ill over this. I'm still implementing some of this. Take your time. But once you've implemented everything, it does become this engine with momentum that, I mean, Sandra just can't even stop now. I don't think the momentum will stop for her now. She doesn't really need to do much. People are just out there promoting her because of a book. She doesn't have to do much herself. So that's the power of the referral revenue engine. So let me come out of this. I'd love to, oh, got lots. You've been busy, I see in the chat. Okay. So thank you so much for that. So let me know what your thoughts are on this. I'd love to know, we do already have a few authors in the room. I'd love to know, have you used some of this, or is any of this completely new and you're kind of thinking, wow, I never thought of that? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Just answering some of the questions in the chat. Oh, so Shays is saying there are 80 verses in the Quran about Islamic finance. I need help to write a book about it, explain them, relate them in a practical way to how it works in the real world and its impact. Looking good. That would be fantastic, Shays. It's amazing how many people are still very unaware of Islamic finance, you know, and what it actually means. So that would be really good. So we can talk about that. Edie said, what's the name of the charity? It's SmartWorks. SmartWorks Newcastle. They're based around the country, but the one that I'm supporting is SmartWorks Newcastle, because I'm based in the northeast of England. But on that link that I dropped in the chat, it should say there where the charity is. And so, yeah. So why are we still so apologetic? It's 2024, dear. Own it. Yeah, I know I should. I should, shouldn't I? I will do my best to own it. I promise you. Thank you, Alison, for your donation. Really, really appreciate it. So Chase is asking, should it be physical books or ebooks? They're marketing for you. Do you sign these books? Okay. Ebook. All my clients, Chase, all my clients produce ebooks, but also physical books. I insist, my team and I insist that we publish both. So in both formats. There's a reason for that. You want it in ebook format because that is going to be the easiest for people to consume. It's also the one that you can give out the cheapest, really. You know, people don't expect to pay, you know, you can give your ebook out on Amazon, for example, for 99 pence or 99 cents for in the US. You can't do that with a physical book because it's, you know, you'll actually go into the red. Amazon won't even allow you, by the way. They actually stop you from pricing your book so low that it's under what they need to charge you for printing and sending the book out. So you definitely want the ebook. However, you also want the physical book because everybody puts together ebooks now for their website. Think of how many websites you go on every single day, and it's like, oh, give us your email address, and then we'll send you a PDF ebook. Yeah. People don't see that as a proper book. So if they just see an ebook, no matter how good that book is, if they just see an ebook on Amazon or wherever, in their mind, subconsciously, they associate that with, oh, that's just one of those free giveaway things that people do on websites. You're not taken seriously as an author. You certainly won't get, you know, the kind of level that Sandra's got to by just having an ebook. So you definitely need a physical book because that is what makes people think, oh, this is a real book. It's a real book. And then they consider you as a real author. So to get that credibility, you need both. Okay, so I hope that's answered the questions. Oh, you're talking about black and Shay said, do you want to come off? I don't know if you're still there. Do you want to come off mute and because you did I get that wrong? You're talking about black and white books. So are you saying should you do black and white books?
No. That was a comment I put for myself.
Oh, okay, good. I got confused. Did I answer that question, or are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So I'd love to know, what are your thoughts on this? So first of all, tell me, did you get any gems from this?
Definitely,
Anybody? Did you think, oh, that's something I could do that I've never thought of? I'd love to know. Is that your dog in the background, Nish? Like, it was just really weird because obviously you've got a background as well. So I could see like a headless dog, and I was like, what's going on there? Okay, that's great. So tell me, what are your thoughts on this? I'd love to know your thoughts. Have I stunned you into silence?
No, I think I found it very useful because I'm really seriously thinking about this book and how, the focus should be, if it is something, educational or informative, that others do your work for you as well. And the fact that you said about your core group who always talk about you and stuff, I have a few of those. If I send it to
Excellent.
them, then they'll do it for me. And then in conferences and stuff, and it can be a very easy sell, except that I have to do the hard work and write the book.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Shaisa. Absolutely. It's amazing how, people do want to talk about you. People do want to say that, but people just forget. People just,
Yeah.
people just forget to refer you. That's
Yeah.
the main issue. It's not that they don't want to refer you, they just have their own lives and they get busy. So if
Yeah.
they've got copies of your book, it's first of all, it's like an annoying reminder that you exist.
Yeah.
And then secondly, they're thinking, oh, that makes me look good. It's one thing to say to somebody, hey, you've expressed that you have this particular issue, I know somebody who can help you. It's one thing to say that. It's another thing to say, hey, you've expressed that you have this issue, I know somebody who will be able to help you, but tell you what, let me give you this book that they've written and go read that. And that instantly, like, well, first of all, they feel like they've given a gift to somebody. The recipient feels like, oh, thank you so much. So they feel good about the person who's given that gift to them. They also come into speaking to you with a level of respect because, like, wow, this person is a published author. So it's just a nice, what's the opposite of a vicious
And they've got
cycle?
something
It's a virtuous
tangible, isn't
cycle.
it? They've got a book. They've got something tangible. It's a book. They've got a book.
You can't
to
throw away a book.
refer to,
I
read,
write about
to
this in my own book,
find out.
Shaista. It feels almost blasphemous throwing a book away, doesn't it? We throw other things away, but books, we kind of go, you want to give them away to charity or do something with them, but you don't. The idea of just throwing a book into the bin just feels very, very wrong. It feels very wrong. In all cultures, I've noticed, in all cultures, it feels very, very wrong.
It's knowledge, isn't it? It's knowledge.
Yeah,
and
it's throwing away knowledge. It feels
sacred.
very wrong.
Sacred,
Absolutely,
No,
absolutely.
I got something wonderful, and now I'm going to really, I was waiting for something like this to inspire me and motivate me to start writing that one page
Excellent.
every day.
Excellent, Shaisa. I get so excited when people are like, yes, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Edie, you say you've got your hand up.
Yeah, sorry, Michelle. Yes, the first time I've actually spoken to you on this course. I mean, I think we have maybe had a connection in the past via Karen. Now, there's probably more than one question here, so I hope we can actually unwrap it. I've been working in a very specific, sort of fairly narrow niche, having qualified in, raw vegan food and nutrition with Karen. The idea was to actually write a book on autism, primarily because we've had autism, ASD, and suicide in the family. Now, this has become a fairly difficult book to write. In a previous incarnation, I used to work in ethnography and anthropology, and as part of a sort of a strategy, attempted to speak to doctors, conventional, alternative, functional medical people to get their input. Basically, as you say, massage their ego, refer to them, because this is not about me. It's about actually getting the information and the knowledge out to people. I got pushback from absolutely every single one. Now, maybe my way of communicating wasn't right, but can you give me, I mean, we can probably have another discussion about this privately on a one-to-one, but that was sort of something, because I don't have a big client base, simply because talking about raw veganism is a tough one in the field of autism anyway. Am I making sense?
Yes, you are. So is the pushback more because they don't?
Sorry to interrupt, Natalia. I think you're about to ask the very question I was going to ask yourself, Eddie, as well. What was the pushback you were receiving? I'm really interested in that. So my apologies for jumping in. That was something I
No,
wanted to
that's
know.
fine. I mean, the pushback was even phoning charities directly involved, even in the town where my niece lives, which is very proactive in helping people in this field of disability, because like you, Vitali, my niece's daughter also has dyspraxia, dyscalculia, the whole thing. And I even offered to send actually Karen's books, which are quite substantial.
Yes.
And one person, be great to talk to you. So I actually did send off those books to them for free with the idea of generating interest, not money. 2 weeks later, not interested. Now, is this primarily because autism is still so political and it's still very much in the conventional field? Or can you sort of give some indication of?
Yeah, this is a different one. So I'm not sure if I'm best placed to answer that, because this is very sector specific.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if the pushback is more to do with the fact that they don't want to believe that actually consuming animal products can exacerbate
This
issues
is why I'm saying it's really tough, because it's proven time and time again, as you yourself know, that vegan food is not just about the animals, it's also about health, and it's about a whole multitude of things. And you are actively counter conventional.
Yes.
So it's a sort of a multi-level thing, and looking at it from a psychological point of view, is the pushback because they're on the defensive, they're in denial. There's so many layers that you could look at.
I'm not the best person because I'm not in that industry, so I don't know. But it sounds like it to me. It does sound like it to me. I think what you're coming up against. Do I call it? I forget whether it's Eddie or Edie. Please.
I prefer Eddie. Everybody gets it wrong, and I end up with all sorts.
I'm going to call you Eddie then.
Eddie is fine. I prefer that. Yeah.
Eddie. Okay.
Yeah, very much so.
I think what I was talking about is finding your fans, and giving them the opportunity to be even more even more a fan of you, making it even easier for them to refer to you. What you're talking about is people who are probably not even your fans in the first place. So it's very difficult to then get them to do anything when they're not even.
Exactly. It's that stage of, I mean, I'm not that far from actually writing the book. I'm finishing the book, because as you say, it takes longer than you originally think. And I don't want it to be dragging on for yet another 6 months, because there are so many developments in this field. So I'm just sort of thinking, do I write it and just put it out there anyway, Yeah,
you can do that, but then what you're doing is you now need to have a very different marketing approach, and this is, you need to get out there, whether that's social media, whether that's
done all that.
It's a case of getting out there that this is going to be, this is going to sound a little bit bad, but sometimes negative publicity is actually good publicity. Something that actually says this is what doctors don't want you to know, which might actually annoy some doctors. And you might get some hate, but guess what? If you're like me, sometimes if you want to get the truth out there, you're happy to take on some hate if it means you have to get the truth out there.
That certainly doesn't bother me, because I've already come up against so many doctors in so many different fields and so many different experiences. That is not a problem. The problem is purely, in fact, you maybe can find the right people, but it's sort of, what's the next step? Because the book isn't out yet.
Yeah. I wish I could help you because with this, Eddie, but I honestly don't. This is what I was talking about really is
I understand.
Finding your fans and making it, just understanding there's people right now in everybody's network. There's people right now who think you're awesome, and yet they're still not always actively referring you. By making sure they have your books, and even further, if you're featuring them in future books, makes them want to actually refer you. What you're talking about is these people are not even your fans. They're reading your books and then going no, and they're having a reaction to it and saying no, this is wrong, because they've believe that consuming animal products is healthy, and even the opposite, that actually cutting them out makes you unhealthy. So they may even believe that you can make autism even worse by doing that, so you can understand why they're sort of like reticent, especially if they've all of their medical literature has shown them that yes, you need to eat animals and you need to have dairy for calcium and all this kind of stuff. So are you in touch with plant-based health professionals?
I have done in the past, but I sort of, as I say, got a bit overwhelmed by it all in the past. And I think there were, yeah, I mean, I spoke to Joel Foreman as well and a couple of other
Oh,
people in the
yes.
States, but then the time difference was such that, it was like I was trying to be in two places at once. And then it was sort of really in a position of actually trying to define the strategy of getting this book written and to whom I
I
send
would
it.
suggest speaking to plant-based health professionals. There's a lovely lady, Dr. Shireen Kassam.
I know her. I did, yeah.
Is there anything that because maybe something through them, because obviously she has the UK's leading group of health professionals, medical professionals who actually believe in a plant-based system. They could be some people that could push your book, because obviously they believe in, I think they're more, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're more focused on physical health. But the thing is, mental health affects physical health. It's not really separate. They're both interlinked. Your physical health affects your mental health, and your mental health affects your physical health. So I think they might be a good place. What you want to do is, before you do anything for the referral revenue engine, you need to find your fans first. You can't make the referral revenue engine work with people who are not your fans. And what you've told me is those people are not your fans. They're still pushing back with you on you. That's a difficult, that's like trying to push a boulder uphill. Do you know what I mean? What I would rather you do is focus more on finding those fans and focusing on people who already believe that going plant-based is good. Maybe they haven't figured out it's good for mental health, but they've figured out it's good for physical health. It's not then too much of a push for them to actually understand that it's great for mental health as well.
Well, I used to belong to, was it called the Vegan Tribe? I can't remember.
Vegan Business Tribe.
Yeah, and that didn't really go down either, because I have tried various avenues in the past. I think it's just really a question now of finishing the book and just handing it out to certain people and see where it goes. Because I've gone through the social media, I've gone through personal referrals, I've gone through networks. It's not an easy book to write.
No, you're a pioneer, Eddie, and pioneers never have it easy.
No, I should say pioneers never have it easy.
Pioneers never have it easy. You're bringing out some information that people are pushing back on. You have to remember what it was like 20 years ago. If you wanted to go vegan, it was like, no, you're going to drop down dead. Where are you going to get your iron from? Where are you going to get your calcium from? And then 20 years later, it's like, no, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think
you're almost a decade too early. But you need to be out there. You need to be one of the first people. Then people look back and go, Eddie was saying this all the way back in 2024. She was saying this.
Yeah, and 10 years before, because I'm a trained medical ethicist. So, it's like I've been around this business for 25 years. So it's not as though it's something that I'm not aware of. But as you say, there's always a huge time lag between conventional medicine and even medical research. Even if it's any good, still takes 17 to 20 years to hit the conventional field. So I think actually what you said is really to go and put something negative out there, what doctors do not want you to hear. Because I think it was...
God, that is an age-old trick. It's an age-old trick, and it works so well.
Yeah, was it Lynn McTaggart who wrote that book? Or there was a magazine years ago which was like what they don't want you to know.
Yeah. It's a tactic that's used. I mean, I remember seeing just an ebook recently, a very clever ebook written by an estate agent. It's like, this is what other estate agents don't want you to know. And it talks on, and then it was only a 20-page ebook, a downloadable ebook, but it was all about this is how estate agents make their money, all the things they add on. If you do this, and this, you can shave off so much of the fee that estate agents. And I just thought, and they were an estate agency. So I thought, oh, you're genius, because most people, we know in the UK, most people don't like estate agents. We're like, oh God, estate agents, they just take. So to then have an estate agent that says, this is what estate agents don't want you to know, you now feel these estate agents are your allies and they would never do any of that stuff to you. So they get a ton of business from this ebook. So it's a very, very good marketing angle to say, this is what they don't want you to know. And the wonderful thing is you're not even making it up. The others sometimes have to make that angle up. You're not making it up. You are getting pushback from the medical society.
Oh yeah.
So you're not even making it up. This is actually what they don't want you to know. So you're not even lying, because some people are lying just to get the marketing angle. You're not even doing that. So yeah, I mean, good luck with it, Eddie, and stay in touch with me. And
absolutely,
when you're writing something for that's very, very new, it can be tough. You are going to get pushback. If something that Stanley, bless him, he's already gone now because he had to go. But he says pushback is proven for your platform because it is unique.
Yeah.
So he's actually saying it's actually, you know, it may not feel like it, but it's actually a good thing. You know, you're a pioneer. So it is.
I'm used to challenges, Mitali. I'm not the conventional type anyway, so it's no problem. But thank you for that.
So before we go, I think most of you have had a call from me, but for anyone who's watching on the replay, or Shay say, I know you're writing a book. If you want to speak about it, let me just go back to my. Here we go. So we're back here. So, first of all, this is just like a very short, small number of people. I'm now about to publish my 50th author by the end of the year. So it's just a short selection of the kind of people that I've worked with and what they've been able to do. They've ended up on TV, ended up in newspapers, ended up working with influencers. I'm not saying you have to do all of these things, by the way, but it is all about getting your book out there to as many people as possible so they understand your values, your mission, what it is that you want to do. So this is one of my amazing authors, Amanda, who's done incredibly well. And as you can see, she's saying she's no longer just a financial planner or a female career mom. It's made it much easier for people to refer me. Okay. And that's what it does. I think there's about nearly 4,000 financial planners in this country, in the UK. I mean, they all, I'm sure, do decent work, but you couldn't really make any difference from one to the next. But one becomes a published author, and now this person is completely different. She writes about the fact that women are still not getting paid parity in the UK. They're still getting paid around 80% of what the average male gets in the same role. So you can see how that is really just done wonders for her personal branding. She has so many more female clients now, and she's doing incredibly well. And like I said, the book has made it so much easier for people to now refer her to others. Okay, so please do join me if you've got a book idea and you're either about to write it, or maybe you've not even thought about it, but it's just an idea formulating in your brain. I do have a book idea audit. So what we do is we just get on a call, just you and me, on a one-to-one. And it's in two parts. We audit your book idea to make sure it's successful. I've written 8 books now. Like I said before, I will be publishing my 50th author by the end of the year. So I know how these specific books, by the way, don't ask me about children's books or fiction or poetry, because I'm clueless about those, okay? But when I'm talking about books that are really designed to get a really important mission out there, as Eddie is, you know, Eddie's got an important mission. She needs the world to know that what you're eating could be affecting your autism and possibly other neurodivergencies as well. You know, she needs to get that mission out there. If you've got that kind of book that's really going to turn you into an expert in your subject matter, then the idea needs to be right, and it needs to be right for you. And that's what we'll do in part 1. We'll audit your book ideas and make sure they're the right ones. If they're not, we can even brainstorm better ideas. But I'd rather you know the truth now than spend a lot of time and effort and money creating a book that isn't right for you. Okay, so that's part 1. And then part 2, once we've done that, we will be able to formulate a process that will help you succeed. So if you're interested in that, all you have to do is just go and book a call with me. So let me just put this into the chat now for anyone who wants to do that. There we go. That's in the chat now. So you will come, once you click on this thing, you will come to here. Do watch this video. It's just 5 minutes, but it just goes into a little bit more detail what you will cover. So that way you know exactly what to expect when you get on the call. It's 45 minutes, which sounds long, doesn't it? It's not. And Eddie's shaking her head. It disappears like that. I'm amazed how 45 minutes disappears. That is why it's important that if you do watch the video, you come into the call ready to, you know, just hit the road running. And then you'll be amazed what we can cover in 45 minutes, okay? And then once you've done that, just go down here and then you just book yourself some time. So just go into, I had some time in, I think someone's already booked. I'm sure I had some time in on Friday, but someone's already booked. So whoever it is, see you on Friday. But yeah, all you have to do is just find a day, the time that suits, just put in your details, and then it'll go into your calendar and mine. And yes, I look forward to discussing your book idea. So thank you so much.
Can you have a drink of water? You've been walking for an hour.
I walk for 4 or 5 hours a day, Shasta. That is what I am confident. I may not be confident walking on a runway, very confident walking on a treadmill. So don't worry.
You need to have a sip of water now. You've been walking too much and talking too much.
I've got water. Thank you. Oh my God, I feel like I've got a second mother. It's great. She's taking care of me.
Yeah.
Okay, so lovely to see you all now. Any final questions before we go? Any thoughts?
No, I'm going to book that thing with you, and thank you so much.
Excellent. I look forward to speaking with you, Shaista. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you got this. You'll get the workbook tomorrow as well. Any ideas or any questions you have later, you know I'm available via email, so just send me an email. But hopefully I will see you all soon. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Nish, you said you wanted to speak to me at the end, so that's okay. We'll just wait for everyone to leave, and then we can continue. Alan, did you have anything else to say, or I was just gonna have a word with Nish?
No, I was trying to come back to you, but I've got my daughter on my telephone, so I will say goodbye.
No problem. I'll see you next week or whenever you come, and we'll chat then.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye, Alan. Bye.
Bye.